So, hello everyone, and welcome back to the AOR Talkshow. It's been such a long time, but we're finally back, and welcome everyone to the PC edition of the AOR Talkshow for season 14. And before we get any further, I'd like to introduce our special guest for this week. Second and first runner-up of last season's PC split. It is Ycoms.
Hello, Pepper. Hope you're doing all well. It is really a pleasure to get this series, getting started again after such a long break, and hopefully we will be able to, cover all these issues before the season very, very well and introduce you to the grid, I guess.
Indeed, and again, after the massive success that was F1 esports, AOR has seen an enormous amount of signups for this season, and that created possibly one of the strongest grids all platforms I've ever seen. So we'll take you through that, a bit of the calendar too, and at the end a short preview of the Australian Grand Prix. Before we go into that, however, it's probably good to mention just the calendar, which basically follows the real life one, starting in Australia and rounding up in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, we have some weeks of vacation, let's say, because of the real life Mexico and United States Grand Prix, the Christmas break, the New Year's, and then later break in
between Malaysia
February.
And Japan. Yeah, exactly.
Which are around 15 and 16 of the calendar. But, not really many surprises there, as you can guess. So let's get into the driver lineups. And Ycoms, let's start with Mercedes.
All right. Well, start with a team that we barely know, to be honest. There's two new drivers in the league, which is Topar and Jarl Tyen. From Finland and the other one is Norwegian, respectively. Don't know too much about these drivers. I just know that Topar, for example, was fourth in the time trial event out of everyone. So he was very, very quick over one lap, and I think Arax especially was very, very good in the evaluation races. So yeah, two new drivers. It's gonna be, I don't know, hard to tell where these guys will end up in the end, but it should be good to watch them.
I mean, it's interesting when you have such a big amount of signups for a league, so many known faces, and you still get like new drivers into the top split.
It's crazy.
Obviously, they're rookies, but they must be fast to be where they are. So, it should be interesting to see how this lineup performs this season. Yep. Red Bull has one known face, which is RBK, who finished third in Split 1 last season, and Michael X99, who, I'll be honest, I don't really know, so maybe you can add something about him, Ycoms?
Well, he's the GP2 champion from last season. So that's why he was, well, he's not automatically obviously moving up because he's the champion, but he seems to be even quicker on this year's game. Especially RBK looked very, very good as well in the esports series, getting a podium there in one out of the 3 races. So definitely he is someone to watch out as well, to, fight for some podiums and maybe even for wins. We don't know, really. It's going to be hard at the start of the season to really predict anything. But yeah, RBK definitely someone who we should watch out for during the season to perform really well.
Very interesting lineup then. A GP2 champion and third place in last season. Mm-hmm. Maybe challenging for a constructor's title perhaps, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up is Ferrari.
Yes, very well. Very. To be honest, one of my, I don't know, maybe even favorite lineups, because with Randrop and Falcon, two very experienced drivers over the past 2 seasons. Obviously, Raiko Gordon, as he's called now, moving over from the Xbox side where he finished, I think, 6th last season. And Ram obviously getting so close to his first win last season on multiple occasions, but hasn't quite been able to pull it off yet. So yeah, especially Ram, I think did very very well in the esports series. For example, he finished fourth overall. He was just shy of actually qualifying for the London event. So yeah, I expect big things, especially from Ram this season, and I think from the team, especially in the constructors.
Yeah, another team to definitely watch out from the get-go. Next up, I have no idea about this lineup of Force India. I really do. Ycoms and Fizzy, I have no idea who these guys are.
Well, it
No,
is not.
but
Yeah, it's not really a surprise that we teamed up again, I guess, since we were so successful last season, I have to say. But yeah, I mean, I can't really talk about much about what you can expect from us because, you know, I don't really know. What do you expect from us, Pepper?
well, I mean, I heard Ycoms had a big success in the esports series. Obviously, Ycoms finished second last season as a runner-up, and Fizzyfan in sixth. And with the Pink Panther, I mean, I think as Red Bull and Ferrari, I think it will be definitely a team to watch out for. But again, it will depend on the rest of the guys because obviously we're 4 teams in and we're already seeing how competitive the grid is already looking. So it will be very interesting to see. But definitely rooting for these guys, especially because, you know, not biased and everything. It's just the owner of AOR and my co-presenter right now. So no pressure. But yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of potential within this team. And a lot of potential on the following team, which is Williams as well.
Yes, definitely. This is probably, well, it is a pretty crazy line, I have to say. 2 AOR or ARL legends back in the day on, you know, since season 1. Well, Kerry and Raven were there since season 1. Although, well, Kerry was there even before season 1, I think. So definitely those two are on this side for, I don't know, absolute ages. And yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting lineup. Both returning drivers. Kerry hasn't raced in the F1 league since season 8, I think, on the Xbox, and Raven obviously has had to leave due to connection issues during season 12. So especially Raven, I think, since he's not too much, you know, didn't have that long of an absence, is definitely a title contender, I would say. Definitely someone who hasn't actually won a race, I think, since season 5 or 6. So he's had quite a long time to wait for a win. But I'm pretty certain if everything goes right, he will get one this season and even more potentially.
Yeah. So, I mean, yet another lineup which we are very eager to see in action from the get-go. Next up is McLaren Honda, which thankfully for them, the races will be on equal performance, but they're constituted by Slick and Demon, who moved from the PS4 side. This I know because I raced with him a few times. He told me specifically not to tell him he'll be a contender for the title, but nevertheless, I mean, it will be interesting to see how he performs in the McLaren. And Slick, I don't know too much about him. He finished 9th last season in Split 1. Maybe another season to prove himself. He got 2 podiums at the end of the season, so maybe that's the target for McLaren, to get a few podiums and a few points on the board throughout the season.
I would definitely agree on that. Especially Slick was someone who improved quite a lot towards the end of season 13, and obviously was the constructors champion together with Berg van Trips in the Mercedes as well last season. So yeah, definitely, you know, these guys are definitely who could sneak in there, grab a few very, very good points, and obviously two very, very two experienced drivers, two drivers who are very consistent. So yeah, it will be as well pretty interesting to watch them, really.
Yeah. And next up is Toro Rosso with 2 people with very simple names. I appreciate that. It is Kellen with number 22 and Timp with number 10, which is Gasly's, curiously enough.
that's a coincidence.
But what can you tell us about them?
Oh, well, Kalen obviously was there in season 12 and 13. not as successful in season 13, I have to say, but I think he's looking much better on this game once again. Obviously, someone who's very consistent as well. About his teammates, don't know anything about him. Another Finnish new driver like Töpä. He is finished 8th in the time trials, so he was very, very quick there as well. Actually got quite a few Finnish drivers this season. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we will have another one later on.
Is strong.
But yeah, I mean, don't know too much about him. So especially for these new drivers, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they cope with the new experience, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and next up, we also have a lineup which, if it's not Scandinavian, it's probably close. From Haas, it is Bereznai, Danny. I'm so sorry if I pronounce that badly, and Marek, both with numbers 54 and 64. I don't really see much of them. I played one.
Marek was in season 12, at least, which was thing. But, I mean, honestly, I would even say that this team is a team that could challenge for both titles quite a bit. Especially Marek, I think, looked absolutely insane on this game so far, I have to say. And Formula Danny, SDL Formula Danny, or Bereznai Danny, as he is, is his forum name, is maybe a little bit of a time trial specialist, but I think he's one that is very, very committed to this new environment, and I think the Haas team will definitely do very, very, very well at the start of the season.
Another one, pretty much.
Yes, but I think those especially. I would say I would even put these as especially good.
all right, good to know. Next up, the penultimate team that we'll look into is Renault with XLNC, Afro, and Non-Runner. Afro finished 4th last season with 2 wins across the season in Monaco and Japan. 2 very technical tracks, so maybe it's something good to look forward to this season from Afro. And Non-Runner, I don't think he raced last season.
No, he did not.
But I've heard that he's a good driver, and obviously has to be here. But perhaps another strong lineup to look forward from the get-go.
Yeah, I would definitely say especially Non-Runner, since he was the only... No, was he the only person? I'm not entirely sure, but I think he was one of the very few persons who were actually able to beat Tirano Tigger in Season 12. So he got 2 or 3 wins even there. So that's an achievement, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
To beat Tigger over one race at least. And yeah, especially him, I expect great things from Afro. I don't know, I haven't seen too much from Afro yet this game. I haven't raced him in any of the races so far, so I don't know how his pace is looking like on this game so far, but if he can, get there where he was last season, he's definitely going to be someone to watch out for as well.
Yeah, and to round up this team's driver lineup is Sauber with Verla 3 and Max AFC 46, and Max finished 10th last season, Verla finished 7th, and they were actually both teammates as well last season with Force India. Now they're at Sauber, a bit of a downgrade from the team, but nevertheless, probably another point-scoring team for the record. Maybe a few podiums every now and again.
Maybe it's going to be definitely like in the midfield, I would say. Both very close on pace, I guess, as well. So, but definitely one of the teams which is very, very equal between the drivers' pace. I would say they were very close so far in the evaluation races and the esports events, especially, etc. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a very, very cool inter-team battle between those two. And yeah, I mean, I guess that has been the grid. I guess I think we said many positive things about everyone. Obviously, we wish everyone the best luck. But yeah, I mean, it's just you can see it yourself. This grid this season is incredible. I would even say over the overall, really, it is the strongest grid we ever had in PC Split 1. Maybe not, if Tirano Tigger would have been here, it would have been probably undoubtedly the best. But so we can say at least there are so many drivers who could get involved in the championship and into podiums and race wins. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it will be an amazing season to watch, especially when we get those weather-affected races, which we all saw what they're capable of in the esports as well. So it will definitely be. I mean, if you're tuning in now for the first time to AOR, I think it shows a pretty damn good time to do that.
Yes.
But yeah, that's our team's driver lineups kind of review. Feel free to tweet us your predictions and opinions on the driver lineups we have for this season. But now it is time to go to probably the trickiest part of the talk show, which is to do some sort of preview of the Australian Grand Prix. And being it the first one, it's a bit of a shot in the dark.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Australia is always I don't know. It's always a weird way of starting a season. I always have a very weird feeling when I start the season at Australia all the time. It's just, I don't know. It's just such a different race to any other race in the season, because you just know, new season, new drivers, need to get into it properly, and most of the time, this is also the race where the drivers practice the most for.
Yeah.
But which is not really a surprise. So I guess, it's gonna be very, very interesting, and it's gonna be almost impossible to make any sort of predictions regarding what kind of result we can expect, because there are, I don't know, I would say 8-9 drivers who could now potentially take a win away, and it wouldn't even be a surprise.
Yeah, and obviously it's because it's Australia, it's already a different track to start at, as you already said. But what if we get rain? It will be amazing, because as we know, we've had quite a few well races at Australia during league racing, and I think it could be a very interesting race if we, for some reason, get rain. Even if it's only on qualifying, that could just make such a big difference for the weekend. But again, feel free to tweet us what you think and what you're expecting of this race. Now, if you had to go for a podium, yeah, I'm going to make you do this. If you had to go for a podium, who would you be going for?
Ah, man, I knew this question would come. It's gonna be a very hard prediction to make, really. Let's have a look. So, from the drivers I know, I would definitely say Raven will have one of the podium spots. He's just been so quick on this game so far. He's really been into it. I guess he's also very dedicated of doing very, very well this season. I would go with him and Marek, I think. Those two definitely. And as a third driver, it's hard to say, really. It's really hard to say. I think I will go with SDL Formula Danny as a third driver to get the podium. Because just how quick he is on one lap pace.
All right. I mean, because I'm a very noobish person on the PC side, I can say anything, and if I get it right, it's
excuses.
Because if I get it right, it's amazing. If I didn't, I mean, I'm just that one guy who doesn't understand anything. So, if I go for anything, from what has been said and all, I'll put RBK in one of the spots. I'll go. I'll put the other Williams of Kerry on the podium, and the Rano of Non-Runner.
Okay, yeah.
Let's go with
Non-Runner is definitely. I was actually debating between Non-Runner and Formula Danny, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, definitely not unrealistic at all. Really, it could well and truly happen.
I mean, I think there's not unrealistic predictions for this one, to be honest, because everything is so close. So I think. I mean, again, it will be very interesting to see what happens later today at 8 p.m. Obviously, there will be live streams if you didn't know already. PC
Yes.
will be. Can you tell us where it will be?
Yes, it is on King Kodiak's Twitch channel, so twitch.tv Ranger Carrot 1980 at 8 p.m. And you'll be able to see the PC F1 league, as it's called now, in all its glory, I guess. Hopefully.
Yep, and we will all be rooting for a great race. Maybe who knows? Maybe we'll have some pink up there. But nevertheless, I think there's not really much to add. I don't know if you want to add anything to what has already been said, Chris.
Just one quick mention that the formation lap and the safety car will
Oh
be
yeah,
turned off for the start of the season because of obvious various issues along the line with these two settings on the game. So we won't see any change up during the safety car once again for the start of the season, which is very unfortunate, I have to admit, really. I would love to see the safety car changing things up. Obviously, from a driver's perspective, you don't really want the safety car to be involved, but from a spectator's perspective, it definitely should be in. And I hope really that the safety car will improve in the next few patches and that we can see it finally back after such a long time in the top tiers.
yeah, and it will definitely throw a spanner in the works for most of you guys. I mean, those at the back will probably love it. The ones at the front probably doubt it. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it for this first AOR talk show of season 14. Let us know how hyped you are for the season and for the return of the AOR talk show. It has been a long time coming in perspective, but yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to tune in later at 8 p.m. in King Kodiak's Twitch channel for PC Split 1. And that is all from me. I think that is all from Chris as well. Thank you so much for joining us as well on this first AOR talk show for PC. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the review of the Australian Grand Prix and preview round 2 at China. So, see you then.
Bye bye.